TPCSI fans, you want to revolutionize your sports investing habits? Allow me to tell you about WagerWire. WagerWire is an app that helps you become a superior bettor by allowing you to sync all your sports books and track all your bets in one place. See your current action, your betting history, and stats. You could also sign up for sports books and collect bonus offers. Follow them at WagerWire on X, as it's the best account on the platform. Head to App Store or Play Store now and search WagerWire and download the app. Good afternoon, sports fans from all around the globe. I am the host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, and this is the Midday Market Report for Monday. What is it, June 10th, 2024. Hope everyone survived the weekend. God bless America. Dan Hurley is coming back for the three-peat. Yes, John Wooden, we're chasing you for a three-peat. Lakers, you cheaped out. Come on, let's be honest here. 6 for 70? If you offered him the 7 for 105, 15 per, you probably would have had a new coach, a new tradition, someone that would have been fiery, someone after LeBron left. You could have set that culture, but you cheaped out. Hollywood, blah. Anyways, shout out to WagerWire, our proud partner and sponsorship. If you haven't downloaded the app, head on over to Google Play. Download it. It's free. Myself, Zach, Travis, the rest of this community will take great care of you. I promise. And if you would like to join the affiliate program, send an email to affiliate@wagerwire.com and we'll take care of the rest. So without further ado, I heard there's a hockey game tonight. The one and only Mr. Andrew McInnis. What's up, Andrew?
What's up? Yeah, there is a hockey game. I've been so caught up in the CFL. I haven't been talking enough hockey on social media there, but big game too tonight, that's for sure.
Yes, CFL wasn't very, very good to my eyes. We had a show on Monday. We had a show on Friday. It was on the wrong end of everything my eyes saw just reading the market. Winnipeg turned into Losapeg. The Elks, big lead, blew it in the third and fourth. They couldn't have played a worse fourth quarter. And last night, to close out a 3-team parlay on the Detroit Tigers and the Mavericks plus 7.5, we just needed a win. A win that we were up 20-6. And in the second quarter, I'm just like, okay, are they going to cover the 5 as well? And not only did they not cover it, they lost outright.
They lose outright, and this is the team that is supposed to be after Winnipeg or Losapeg lost on Thursday. Everybody said, okay, now let's wait and see how BC looks, right? Let's see how BC looks because maybe they are the new top dogs in the CFL. And then they lose. I mean, underdogs went 4-0 ATS this past weekend in the Canadian Football League. Usually it's underdogs and unders. This week, it was actually underdogs and overs. And with those underdogs winning outright as well, for the most part, it's crazy. And one big topic of discussion to jump right into was Vernon Adams Jr., who's a potential MVP candidate quarterback for BC. Jeff, his offensive line couldn't help him at all. I mean, he had no time to sit back in the pocket. And people were wondering because in the CFL, with it only being a 3-down league, it's so important to have a short yardage team, right? You know how people will throw out their backup quarterback to do it, the QB sneak, or you'll throw a running back. No, they decide to use the potential MVP of the league as their short yardage runner. And then the halftime guys were freaking out about it, saying, imagine if he gets injured because of the bad offensive line and they're asking him to do these QB sneaks. I wasn't impressed with this BC Lions team. You can tell by how I sound. And yesterday I ended up taking the over in the game at 47.5. And I'll tell you, when you look back, because if you look at last year, the BC Lions scores, I'm pulling it up right now. They're a team that, sure, their offense has been great for a while, but you take a look at the division finals, they gave up 24 against Winnipeg. Give up 30 in the semifinals Are they a team that just relies on their offense at this point? Because all I hear from people is that they have such a great defense. Sometimes I feel like teams across all sports just look better because of their offense. If a team wins in the NBA 140 to 120, you still gave up 120 points. It doesn't matter if you scored 140. I don't want to sound like I'm overreacting, but it's always fun for me to be able to look at week one instead of when we're talking before week one, we're just guessing. I'm really worried about this team and their defense and also the protection with their offensive line.
I go back just thinking out loud from what we said on Monday to what we said on Friday. Winnipeg, an absolute no-show. So you just chalked it up. Bad game, just an absolute no-show. The Elks, all the promise, the line move. This is it. They had new coach, new everything. Couldn't ask for a better perfect storm. And just to play probably the worst fourth quarter that they will all season. So I was like, okay. Let me backtrack. I said, is Calgary a trap? I said to you out loud, I was like, we're Doug Flutie's not walking through that door. And the fact of the matter is a lot of people are under 6.5, low expectations. It looked like a good sport, wrong again. And then Sunday, again, 5.5, we talked, it was 8.5 in spots to start. A minus 270 on the money line. I was born at night, not last night. Okay, that is a heavy price to pay for a 5 in football, and to have the 20-6 lead, and then just BC was at their best, winning by defense, special teams, pick sixes, punt returns, kickoff returns, and we're going to beat you with our defense and just let our offense chip away. Disgrace, absolute abysmal disgrace.
It really is, and now you take a look at the number for this week. They opened up early openers minus 9.5 against Calgary. We're seeing even as low as one book. I'm seeing a 7.5 now, Jeff. Most books are showing 8.5. And one thing I love about the CFL, I discuss this every week, but it's so cool. And I've tried to learn from you about reading the market. When you look at your odds board and when you're looking at different sources, you might see a different number at 5 different books, whether it's by a half or by a full point, whatever it might be. That's the thing is, can you lay a lot of points with a team that might win the game, but are they going to be able to prevent a backdoor cover? Because that's the thing. A lot of times when you take a plus 8.5, a plus 9, you might think, yeah, we might take a few punches, right? We might take a few hits. But when you have a plus 9.5, you're just hoping that your team makes some moves late in the game and hangs around. So that's the thing. I mean, there's so many teams every single year that are good ATS teams and good straight up teams. I think that's going to be our biggest question mark about this BC team. How good will they be ATS wise this year versus, how will they be just straight up? Because they could be a team that wins 4 of their next 5 games. I have no doubt they're probably going to beat Calgary this week. Do they cover the 8? Well, it's already down to 7 at some spots. Not really a good sign there.
No, if I'm going to get the BC team that showed up for the first and part of the second quarter, I'm okay with it. But again, do I have all the faith in the world running to the window here? As you said, they could be up 10-13, and here comes backdoor little Joe, and you lost at the window. So again, we got a week. Well, we have a few days to let this thing simmer and let digest. As I said, week one blunders, and we'll see where my eyes get fixated for Friday when you and I meet on your channel.
Right.
Stanley Cup. I talked to you Friday. I says on your channel, I like the Panthers in 6. I says, I think the start of this series are going to be split skis. I think they're going to split in Florida. I think they're going to split in Edmonton. And I think Florida wins game 5 and wins the cup on game 6 in Edmonton. And I should say the away team's territory. Now, with that said, ECSI VIPs, I mean, we have a plus 420 +525 with the Panthers. We have a +450 with the Oilers. So it's for the people jumping in. I talked about Conn Smythe. Obviously, the big three, Bob, Kachuk, and Barkov for me. Game one. It's Bob's world, standing on his head, an Oilers team that at some points dominated. They just couldn't get it past Bob. 3-0 Panthers final. I'm looking at right now currently. You can get Florida -222 to win the cup. You can get Edmonton +200. Tonight's game, Florida opened up -145, Edmonton +125, a flat 5.5. Currently at our good friends at the Circa. Florida -121, Edmonton +111 with a 5.5 flat. What'd you see on Saturday, and what are you thinking tonight?
Jeff, I'll be completely honest. Again, I only caught a period of the game live, so I was able to watch it back. Sometimes life is life. You got stuff going on. But, I think that as a Montreal Canadiens fan, Carey Price was the reason that they won a lot of games through my upbringing, right? When I was younger and even a few years ago through the playoffs, right? Against the Leafs, the Jets, the Golden Knights. And then it wasn't enough against the Lightning. But there's two questions you ask yourself going into this game, because even the smartest Florida Panthers fan or the dumbest Florida Panthers fan should be able to tell you that the Oilers outplayed them, right? Everybody knows that in the world, but does it matter in hockey? Does it matter if you get the win? And I love the Connor McDavid after the game. He said it himself. Maybe it's karma getting us back. Did you see the quote? Maybe it's karma getting us back for Dallas outplaying us in game 6. I mean, I think the Oilers had like 13 or 14 shots against Dallas in game 6, and yet they win that hockey game. So there's two ways you can look at it. You can look at it like this and say, hey, look, the Oilers lost, but the expected goals were like 5-2 for the Oilers, which is just unheard of in Stanley Cups. Or you can look at it this way. Florida played one of their worst games of the playoffs, and they won in the Stanley Cup Finals. So there's two ways of looking at it. I'm not sure. The way I look at it is this. No matter who wins tonight, Jeff, I've said it from the beginning that I thought it was going to be a low-scoring series. Stuart Skinner's been better. Defensively, the Oilers have been better. Bobrovsky's unbelievable. But both teams went a combined 0 for 5 on the power play. Expected goal numbers were 5-2 for the Oilers. I find it real hard to believe we're going to see a low-scoring game again tonight. I'm not saying we're going to get 7-8 goals. I would lean towards the over tonight. Analytics have a way of working themselves out. And whether we have to wait until the series goes back to Canada for the goals to start happening, I'm not sure. But because I'm not going to sit here and say Florida, oh, they don't deserve to win. They didn't do this. Look, they scored when they had to. Their goalie made the saves. But I do think when you've got a team like McDavid, Draisaitl, and Hyman, those guys, you give them the exact chances they had last game, they're going to put some goals in. So team total is -120 for the Oilers to get to 3. That one kind of intrigues me. Obviously, you can get a plus money on the dog price as well for just the money line. But that, I talked a lot throughout the season when I was on the show here for overs on props, and everybody likes overs, and it's sometimes you can just handicap better when someone's going to have a good game versus a bad game. But I'll tell you, if you're betting unders in these series throughout the playoffs, you're making money as well. Like if you're taking Tarasenko on points unders, shots on goal under, Verhaeghe and Reinhart, bear with me, Jeff. I know you don't like chalk. But these guys, they don't pass the puck to score. They get the puck and they shoot. It's like taking Zach Hyman under on assists. These guys, they're shooters. They're pure goal scorers. They do not pass the puck back when they're wide open for a shot. So I'd be really interested in looking at some unders, Forsling under, potentially even Barkov under. And as far as the Oilers are concerned, again, so I'm not showing any bias here. I think McDavid under 1.5 points is actually a decent bet, and I lean on the Oilers side simply because I believe that one player can't win you a hockey game, and I would rather look at over 3.5 shots for McDavid tonight versus the 1.5 points. I think that's the best way to go. I remember off a loss against Dallas, McDavid came out the next game. He had 4 shots in the first period. I can't see much hesitancy going on. You've got Evander Kane injured. Nugent Hopkins needs to step it up. We need some of these guys to play better. Something inside me tells me we're going to see some goals tonight. I was happy to be right about my Stuart Skinner prop that I was mentioning in last week. It was at 28.5, now down to 26.5. I think this could probably be the night, honestly, to look towards the over on that one. Because again, Florida only had 18 shots. They scored 3 goals. One of them was a 3-on-2. One of them it was in close. Something tells me this game has an absolute bang tonight, Jeff. I don't think this one's going to be a snooze fest.
Yeah, and each team now is seeing each other play. You had a day in Florida, a night to sit down, relax, catch some sun. Reading the market, I did see Florida minus 255 initially after they won game 1. You could have got Edmonton at 205. So money's come back in on the Edmonton side at plus 200. Florida minus 222. Don't forget, they closed it around minus 145 or 50. So my eyes are saying Vegas is like, hey, it's Florida 1-0 here, but we're not going to have Portnoy and everyone come jump on Edmonton here and the series price, and they tie it 1-1, and now they go back to Edmonton, and my eyes 145. They'll probably let me see here. 121 opened at 145. Edmonton will actually be favored in game 3 in Edmonton against Florida.
Yeah, so I think I will say I like the team total tonight. That's a play, and people can say, hey, you're playing it safe, whatever. I like the team total. I thought the minus 120 was a discount based on the 5 expected goals in game 1. But I do agree it's worth a sprinkle to look at because a lot of times, like everyone keeps talking about, like whenever, NBA finals, NHL finals, the team wins game 1, right? You'll see, wow, teams that win game 1 are 70 something percent. Teams that win game 1 and 2, you hear all these percentages. But what did the Oilers go to Florida to do? They went there for a split, right? They win tonight. You go back to Oiler country. It's going to be rocking. And guess what? They get the last change. I always talk about it. And I think out of every team that was in the playoffs, I mean, who would you rather have the last change on? I mean, McDavid and Draisaitl getting the last change, because Barkov and Forsling, what did I say on the show last week about Barkov? If they could give out an award, if the Conn Smythe Trophy wasn't mostly about offense and it was about, defensive forwards, Barkov should win it every time he's in the playoffs because he's so good defensively. When the Oilers get that, and you and I won't see each other again until then. So I will say, I think that we're going to see a lot more offense when the series goes back to Edmonton. But, one thing I thought was kind of funny, Jeff, the Oilers beat the Florida Panthers in all but 2 categories, goals and hits. And they were out hit by like 25 hits or 20 hits. And of course they lost the game 3-0. So be curious to see what happens.
Short slate here, MLB. Your Jays are at Milwaukee tonight. Berrios versus Ray. Berrios is one of those hit or miss guys. An overnight number, Milwaukee minus 110 and Toronto minus 110. A little money coming in on Ray and the Brewers, the home team. Minus 115, Jays minus 105. An over-under of 8.5 under minus 20 cents. Now 8 over at the Circa. Just before we close out here, what's the temperature of the Jays? Now, not too long ago, there was talks of them sprinkling out Vlad and Bo to potentially trade at the deadline. Then they came back real quick and says, "Oh no, we're looking to get extensions." How is Jayville? What's going on in Jayland right now? Is there any hope to catch the Yankees or Baltimore, or is this a lost season like my Red Sox and Rays?
It seems like it is. I mean, at this point, they're trying to just figure out what they're going to do. They know they're not making the playoffs, and we're sitting here talking on, the 10th of June. I think that really the biggest problem is trying to figure out who are they keeping, who has value, and who can you trade off. But at the same time, you take a look at some of the matchups and the schedules they have, because they've had a lot of AL matchups. They haven't done well in their own division, we can put it frankly. But if they can get on a roll over their next couple of series here over the next few weeks before they have to play some AL teams again, AL East teams, that could really help them out and get their confidence back again. But you mentioned the game today, and is it Rhea or yeah? I like his over on strikeouts. I mean, I was looking at a couple sources that I use for my analytics on the props for baseball, and they've got him expected around 4.3. The other one is 4.7. He's 3.5 at like a minus 115, 120 price, depending on where you're looking. I mean, not really much of a strikeout guy. Doesn't pitch that deep into games. But have you seen what the whole world on social media has been going crazy about the Nerfies? I mean, this team doesn't score in the first inning. They barely get on base in the first inning. They strike out in the first inning. If he gets 1 or 2 Ks in the first couple innings, you need 2 more and you cash a ticket. So that's actually one. I'm not sure if I'll end up making an official play there, but Rhea over 3.5 Ks is something that I have my eye on for the Jays game. And a play that I tweeted out, and again, this is chalky, but I would actually play it at 7.5, but I'm willing because a lot of the numbers and websites I use, they're showing they expect like close to 7. I'm taking under 8.5 strikeouts for Dylan Cease tonight for the Padres. And again, I understand it's like minus 150. If you want to take the under 7.5, feel free. But a lot of the sources, again, I'm using 7.1, 7.2, 6.8 they're expecting out of him. They're playing the Oakland Athletics. And if you look at the Oakland Athletics, they've struck out the second most out of every team in the league. The Mariners have struck out the most in the league. And so it seems like, hey, for everybody, it's an easy win, right? Oh, they're playing the Oakland Athletics. They strike out. And I feel like because of the market adjustment, right? Like the reaction to playing, oh, okay, Cease, he's playing against the Athletics, but the funny thing is, if you look at it, he doesn't go deep into games, Jeff, at all. Like I had a prop on Friday night, Bassett under on his strikeouts. The guy pitched almost a full game. I think I had a pretty good prop against the Oakland Athletics, and he pitched almost the full game. I think he pitched 8 innings. But I took a look at the log for Dylan Cease, and he averages 6 innings per start. Pretty much no less, no more. And if that's the case, I'm comfortable. You want to ask me to get 9 strikeouts for Cease against the Athletics, and he could have a great outing, but ground ball, a couple pop flies, and all of a sudden you're in pretty good shape. So those are 2 that stuck out to me. And one pick that I've been riding, not to get too carried away, but for the NBA Finals, Jaylen Brown over rebounds and assists. He didn't hit it in game 1. But it was a blowout kind of, so he didn't play as many minutes and he didn't need him. Rebounds, he's an underrated rebounder, but his assist, when he's so quick, you see that they're a drive and kick team. All 5 players on the court at all times for the Celtics can hit threes, can hit jumpers. So if you drive, you attract 2 guys, you kick it out. And his number is 9.5 or 8.5. A website I've been using lately shows 9.7 or 10.3 as far as the numbers. And I know that might sound like not that much of a difference, but when you're using some of these number crunching websites, that's a good indicator that you should look at the over in that one. So those are a few bets I like as far as baseball, and we'll throw in a little bit of NBA as well.
It's funny. Celtics up 2-0. What have they done? They have held serve, guys. That they did what they were supposed to. Now they are 14-2 in the playoffs. Wednesday, game 3. I will just tell you this from a market perspective. Celtics opened at 7.5 overnight, but the Sunday game closed around 7, some 6.5s. To have Dallas open up as a pick'em, it's the wrong number, guys. There is no way from Boston to Dallas and what the Celtics are doing that the Celtics, in my eyes, I thought they'd open up 1.5, even 2-point favorites. I don't know where Vegas came up with this 6.5 to a pick'em. Now, I know it's a must-win, the sense of urgency. I know all the data says that Dallas wins game 3, Celtics win game 4, and most likely wrap it up in game 5. I get all that, okay? But my point to everyone is the true number was 7.5. It landed on 7. It closed at 7 or 6.5. There's no way in holy hell that Dallas opens up as a pick'em. I don't know where they got that number, Andrew.
It's shocking. I mean, look, Luka has a 30-point triple-double, and they barely cover the point spread. I got in. I'll tell you what, I got a push. I actually had +7. I had a 3-0 night with my props. I had +7. After all that, Jeff, after all that, I don't even end up making money on the point spread there in that game. And Luka has a 30-point triple-double. And you know what? Kyrie Irving, he wants to prove it wrong in the Celtics. They're making all these Bozo the Clown shirts about him and talking all this smack as fans do. Well, he couldn't have looked tougher out there, rougher, I should say. He needs to go back to Dallas and play well. And I saw a little video put out today. The last time he was down 2-0 in a series was when he played for Cleveland and he dropped like 30-some points. They're going to need this team to look different in Dallas. One thing I will say is that, like, Lively and at certain points, even Washington, Gafford got it going kind of when it was a little bit late. Some of these guys look nervous out there. They truly do, Jeff. And, you know, people keep on saying that Luka, he's played in Europe. He played in the Euro League. He played in all these big games. He's not really shy about the moment. He did have like 8 or 9 turnovers, which doesn't help the team out at all. But he has, I mean, no one can really blame his turnovers when he's scoring, 30-something points. But I think the biggest difference, and I'm sure you'd agree with me, is that the depth players will probably play better at home for Dallas.
I do agree. I think the bottom line, listen, the NBA is an 82-game season. This year, it's an Olympic year. The Celtics and Dallas are coming up to probably close to 100 games already, not counting preseason. Listen, Luka is amazing, okay? But I think the bottom line, and hopefully he sits down and reevaluates at the end of this season, is I'm not fit game shape wise to be going 90, 95 games. He is overweight, the puffy red cheeks. Listen, you're a superstar and you're young. Okay. Take a look if you want to be playing till you're 35, 36, 37, 38. You can't be lugging that weight, kid. Mm-hmm. You really need to take a look in the mirror and figure it out. Hey, if you want to play like that, God bless you. Sooner or later, it's going to catch up to you.
Does his game change though, Jeff, if he loses weight? Because he's good at bullying people around a little bit. And does his game change at all if he's not that size? That's my rebuttal to you.
I think his knees, backs, and calf will feel a lot better. Put it that way. Okay. And going back to the Celtics and covering, I just got to say this. What was it? The end of the third, the Pritchard heave off the glass for that 3. And then I was watching as Dallas is trying to make a run at like 1 second on the shot clock, and Derek White launches about a 35-footer and drained it. Yes. So there again, I know it's just 2 instances there. There's 6 points right there. But again, Dallas played a great first quarter, a decent second quarter, but you could see the Celtics slowly pulling away. It's their year. What can I say? The East, everyone was hurt, and Dallas, I don't want to say Luka's, no one's 100% right now, but the real key to the 0-2 and coming back to Dallas has been the play of Kyrie. I think he's going to get home and be able to breathe and be Kyrie. And maybe you see one of those 35, 37-point outbursts. Luka will be the facilitator and then at least get to steal a game to get to 2-1, to have the Celtics sit in their ship for a night and say, all right, well, we got to take care of business here, because last time they were in this spot, they were up 2-1 and at home in the lead in the fourth quarter against Golden State. Golden State stole that game and then won the next 2 and won it in 6. So I know the Celtics are hoping at worst for a split, and let's win it in Game 5 in front of our fans on Monday, the day after Father's Day.
Definitely. And that would be key for them if they can do that. Look, I'll say this. I've been cheering for the underdog story. But one thing I will always say is I appreciate good quality basketball. That's the sport I grew up playing, and I'm kind of like an old soul when it comes to basketball. I love watching unselfish, make the next pass type of basketball. The Celtics are that team. There's not a lot of isolation that's played. There's not a lot of one-on-one. And the thing is, sure, the Mavericks do that a lot. If Kyrie gets someone he wants to take on, he tries to. If Luka gets someone to take on, he does it. But at the same time, he kind of has to, because no one else is going to do it. They can move the ball around and stuff, but I think the depth is just something to watch. Derek White is a wonderful player, Jeff. I really enjoy watching him. Very smooth shooting stroke, the way he plays. But I'll tell you something, you might get a kick out of this. This is just absolute degenerate behavior. But a buddy of mine, he messaged me last Thursday night, right? When the first game was going on. So you mentioned the Peyton Pritchard 3-pointer, right? So if you go back, you'll laugh your ass off to look at the box score at Peyton Pritchard. I think he went 0 for 7 in game 1. My buddy texts me and goes, "This is a blowout. We have to live." And I don't think I ever in my life have live bet points in the NBA. He goes, "We have to live bet over 2.5 for Pritchard because he's going to get a lot more time. He's going to get a lot more time." And I wish I was like recording myself while watching this. It was so dreadful. Like, I don't know if you'll remember, because this is such a specific thing for me and my bet, but like Pritchard, he got subbed in. He got subbed in like third quarter, then he got subbed out. Fourth quarter, he comes in with like 3.5 minutes to go. I think he must have taken like 3 or 4 shots and he missed them all. He went 0 for 7. We had over 2.5 points and we lose. And I said to my buddy, I was like, could you imagine if before the game, we said to each other, we've got this guy to get 3 points, and he had 7 field goals. And then, of course, the next game, he heaves up from the logo. And my buddy, the same friend, texts me. He goes, "Please tell me you just watched what just happened." I mean, you just can't make that stuff up, right? You can't make that stuff up. But we thought we hit the jackpot. Like, we thought we found an absolute hidden gem. Pritchard live over 2.5 points. And whenever someone thinks you hit the jackpot, you're usually wrong. But is it a bad bet? The guy had 7 field goal attempts after we bet that. But I thought it was a pretty funny story that that's how Pritchard gets his 3 points last game, is with like a logo heave at the end of the quarter.
And I listen, when the Celtics drafted Jaylen Brown from Cal, and then they were fortunate enough to get Jason Tatum from Duke, and they finessed the trade in the picks with the Philadelphia 76ers, and Tatum slid to 3. I have said all along, I thought Brown was the better player. Everyone yelled, screamed, and hollered at me, Tatum's the guy. And I was just like, Jaylen reminded me, his style is play of a Dominique Wilkins. Now, there's no 360 reverse dunks and all that, but just the physicality. And I think moving forward that Brown eventually is going to want his own team. He just wants to get out of the shadow of Jason Tatum. Now, they'll extend Jason. They'll make it officially his team, the highest paid player or close to it in the NBA. I think it's next year he'll get that extension. I think Brown has an out after next year, so they win the title this year. They see what happens next year, and keep your eyes on that. But the true MVP of the Boston Celtics this year, hands down, is the GM, Brad Stevens, who got GM of the year. The fact that he finally saw Danny's mess and says, "Smart, see ya," and he moved a few other pieces. He signs Derek White, he brings in Porzingis, and he brings in Drew Holiday, and the rest is history.
It's just such a dangerous team. Such a dangerous team. When you've got 5 guys, look at Horford. He can shoot for you, too. You bring in Porzingis. It's almost, could you imagine being a basketball player and then just every time you shoot, it's like an open look because you're like a foot taller than everybody. Whenever Porzingis shoots, it's like nobody can test his shot. It's like he just has to practice open jumpers. He never even had to practice somebody being in his face. It's that good. So I think, would you say if anybody likes the Mavericks, at least you'd probably want to just look towards the first half at this point? Do you want to give them 4 quarters of effort? Is it a first quarter, first half type thing? Would people want to bother playing the full 4 quarters?
It's one of these damned if I do, damned if I don't. There are people saying that if Dallas is going to win a game, it's right here. So I like them, whether the Celtics come out hot from 3, because they weren't hot yesterday for a while, and they barrage them early, and then Dallas has that second half magic to find a way to win, or it's vice versa. Mavericks can't miss. Kyrie can't miss. They're up 11-13 at half. Thank God I played the first half. Here come the Celtics in the second half. So one of those damned if you do, damned if you don't thoughts. I just know that the opening number is wrong. The Celtics should be 2-point favorites. And here, Brandon Katz, Dallas is not a first half team Kyrie has played much better in the second half of the game. So Brandon, thank you so much, Brandon, for tuning in. So Brandon says, might want to, if you like Dallas, you might want to hold off, and you could actually do this. They're trailing the first half, so you get a better second half number, and play them again at halftime. So, but I expect Kyrie to have a big game, a bounce back. Again, he's away from the Boston crowd. He has not played well since he left the Celtics, and so we'll see. But Scroll has been going the whole time, Andrew. They know where to find you on Twitter, of course, at McInnis Picks, all your work at WagerTalk, and Mayflower Sports, or Sports Mayflower, I should say, your YouTube channel, Mayflower Sports. Go subscribe. It's free. But as we always end, a nice little 7-yard button hook. Tell everyone what you got at WagerTalk for them.
And Jeff, I will say the one CFL play I'll give out for people that are watching right now. If you want Calgary, you better bet it right now. You better try and search for the 8s and try and get a +8 and 8.5. It's coming to 7.5. If you want the plus money, if you want to fade BC lost yesterday outright, as Jeff and I were talking about. Will they come out and blow out Calgary? I'm not so sure they will. So if you want Calgary, guys, that's going to be the play for me. I'll give out here early in the week. We'll rediscuss everything on Fridays on my channel. But right now we've got a great deal going. Usually it's $99 for a week of all plays at WagerTalk. We got a $77 deal. No promo code needed. No promo code necessary. We've got MLB, we've got NHL, we've got NBA, and of course CFL. And the beauty of CFL for the first few weeks, which I really like, we got one game a day for 4 straight days: Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. $77 for 1 week, all access over at wt.buzz/am.
Brandon's going crazy here, and he says Kyrie doesn't like going back to franchises. He goes, he almost always sat out when Boston played at Cleveland when he was on the Celtics, and then he says nothing is rigged, but Dallas is going to get the calls in Game 3. And he goes, NBA does not want to sweep. Nothing is rigged, but Scott Foster will almost certainly be reffing Game 3, excuse me. And I said, LOL, 100%. NBA needs at least 5 or 6 games. So my buddy's a season ticket holder. He did very well on the resell of Game 1 and Game 2. He's praying for a Game 5. His seats alone are going for $2,500 each now for Game 5, so he's hoping for that. But shout out to Brandon. Thank you so much, Mr. Katz. Shout out to Dan Hurley. We wanted you back in stores. I wasn't going to let you leave anyway, so there was no way in hell you were going to end up being a Laker. And, of course, the one and only Mr. Andrew McInnis, which I will be back on his channel Friday at 3:15, so please be there or be square. So for myself, Jeff Dawson at EC Sports Investor, the one and only Andrew at McInnis Picks, we wish everyone a blessed day and evening. Have some fun tonight. If you're bored and you don't want to watch the MLB, there's a Game 3 winner goes to Omaha, and that is NC State and Georgia. Have fun with that, and we will see you soon.